Let me guess, you're expected to understand deposits, mortgage, credit score, solicitors, surveys, stamp duty, interest rates, all while prices feel insane and everyone else seems ahead of you. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how buying your first home in the UK actually works, step by step in plain English. No assumptions and no estate agent nonsense. So by the end of the video, you'll understand what to do, when to do it, and how to avoid the mistakes that cost first-time buyers tens of thousands of pounds. So let's jump straight into it. Before we talk about mortgage and deposits, we need to address something important. Buying a home is not really a race. Despite what Instagram, parents, or dinner party conversations might suggest, renting is not a failure. A mortgage is just a very large, very long-term loan, typically 25 to 35 years, and the biggest financial commitment you'll probably ever make. So the first question isn't can I buy, it's can I afford this comfortably? That means you can still live your life, you can handle interest rate rises, and you're not one bad month away from panic. If buying would just leave you stretched, stressed, or one emergency away from trouble, waiting is often the smarter move. So how much can you actually borrow? Here's where most people get confused. Banks do not simply lend you a multiple of your salary anymore. Instead, lenders look at affordability. So they look at your income, your bills, your debts, your lifestyle spending. They then stress test you, meaning they check whether you could still afford repayments if interest rates rise significantly. So two people earning the same salary can be offered very different mortgage amounts depending on your credit cards, car finance, student loans, overdraft use. This is why cleaning up your finances before applying matters so much. Now let's talk deposits, because this is where dreams kind of meet reality, unfortunately. In the UK, 5% deposits do exist, but they're expensive and restrictive. 10% is kind of the realistic minimum for decent choice, and 20% gets you much better rates. The key rule is simple: the bigger the deposit, the cheaper your mortgage. Even a small jump, say from 10 to 15%, can save you thousands in interest. Also, lenders don't use the price you agree with the seller, they use their own valuation. If the bank values the property lower than your offer, you may suddenly need a bigger deposit or you may need to renegotiate the price. This catches a lot of first-time buyers out. So is there any help for first-time buyers? This is where smart buyers gain an advantage. Firstly, let's talk lifetime ISAs. If you're aged between 18 to 39, you can save £4,000 per year and the government will add 25% on top of that. That's £1,000 of free money every year. And you can use it for your first home up to £450,000 anywhere in the UK. If you're not using a LISA and you're eligible, you're almost certainly leaving money on the table. You also have shared ownership. So you basically pay a portion of the home and you pay rent on the rest. This can help people get on the ladder, but it does come with some complex rules, higher fees, and long-term trade-offs. So just make sure you always run the numbers carefully. Next, let's talk your credit score. This is kind of the silent deal breaker. And this is the part that no one really kind of warns you about early enough. Your credit history can make your mortgage cheaper or quietly kill your application. So I'm gonna give you some key rules. Firstly, register on the electoral roll. Never miss payments, avoid payday loans, keep overdrafts under control, and don't apply for lots of credit before applying. Even something small like an old unused credit card can affect how lenders see you. Think of it as kind of like a financial first impression. Next, let's talk mortgage types. So ignore the jargon. This is what really matters. Repayment versus interest only. For repayment, you actually own the house at the end. For interest only, you still owe everything later. Most first-time buyers should choose repayment. Next, let's talk fixed versus variable. Fixed is kind of a certainty and peace of mind, whereas for variable, there is a risk, but it could sometimes be cheaper. If you're close to your affordability limit, fixing is usually safer. There's no perfect choice, just the right one for your situation. Next, let's talk the hidden costs that no one talks about. Buying a home costs more than just the deposit. You also need to budget for solicitors, somewhere between £500 to £1,500, surveys, which are normally around £400 to £700, valuations, mortgage fees, stamp duty. This is sometimes zero for first-time buyers, sometimes not. Always keep extra cash aside. Deals fall through more often than people admit. Now I want to talk about the actual buying process. Here's the real world order. Get an agreement in principle, start viewing properties, make an offer, get the offer accepted, apply for the mortgage, get a survey and evaluation done, do your legal work, exchange contracts, and then you've got completion. You get the keys. From offer to keys usually takes 8 to 12 weeks, sometimes longer, but patience does matter. So buying your first home isn't about being early, it's about being prepared. The people who struggle most aren't the ones who waited, they're the ones who rushed in without understanding the process. So if you want to buy smart, build your deposit properly, protect your credit, use the schemes available, and don't overstretch yourself. Because the goal isn't just owning a home, the goal is owning one without losing sleep over it.